Hello, friends, and welcome to another Real Scrum Master interview session. Friends, I am Suran Sharma. I'm an Agile consultant based in Netherlands, and here at CareersTalk, we invite Agilists from around the world to share their valuable experience and insight with all of us. Friends, before we start, I would like to request a small favor from you. If you find this video helpful, please hit like button and subscribe to our channel for more such videos in future. Your support help us keep creating valuable content for you. So friends, today we have a guest joining us from Ireland who has recently interviewed with Jaguar, Bank of Ireland and Citibank Group. So friends, our guest don't want to reveal his name, so we can call him Anil. So Anil, thank for joining us today and sharing your real life interview experience with us. Welcome to our channel, Anil.
Yeah, thank you, Sunan. My pleasure being on your channel. I've been your follower past few months, and really it has helped me a lot. Just like other agile practitioners across the world. So I've been rigorously following your channel, and it has helped me a lot to grow in my career as well. So, yeah,
Thanks.
my pleasure.
Thanks. Okay. So friends, Anil is having 10 years of total experience, and from last 2 years, he's working as a Scrum Master. Earlier, he's a QA. Okay. So friends, this is part one of this session. We have more parts after this as well, maybe part two or part three, because we have a lot of questions. But in this, we will just take a few commonly asked questions, right? So with this thought, yeah, Anil, if you allowed, shall we start?
Yeah, sure. So,
Okay.
yeah, thanks for the short introduction. So, yeah, I'll just brief about myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, please, please.
I have over 9 years of experience,
Okay.
working in software industry.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said that, yeah, I started my career as a QA. Then, in QA, I did mostly web automation, apart from, other testing. And I think in January 2020, when I joined here in Ireland for one of the company, that is where I got to play the role of Scrum Master. So basically, I joined them as the web automation lead, and they had a T-shaped environment wherein you have to wear multiple hats. So it's a startup company. So I also happened to take up that role, Scrum Master. So I was a Scrum Master for my automation team, and yeah, so it's been a lovely journey, and I'm glad that I started, reading about Scrum from Scrum Guide 2020. I'll be very honest, I didn't start with the previous version. I sometimes think it's a good thing because I am updated with the latest knowledge. And yeah, that's my introduction in short.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks for that. Okay. So shall we start with our Q&A session?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So the very first one is how many Scrum teams so far have you led, and how big are those teams?
Okay. So in my current role, I am leading two Scrum teams. So one of the Scrum team, it has 6 members. So they are quite a matured team when it comes to engineering, but they are novice when it comes to Scrum way of implementing. They have been in waterfall for good number of years, and 2 years back they moved to Agile Scrum. And the other team which I'm leading is uh, of around 14 members. It's a combined team as of now. They have combined, and they are backend plus UI developers. So yeah, those two teams I'm leading as of now.
Okay. Okay. And you just mentioned about waterfall to agile. So can you tell us few challenges which any Scrum Master can face when they have to lead a team which are moving from a waterfall to agile?
Oh yeah, good question. And yeah, I faced this. I was never expecting. I knew the answer to this question by seeing your videos, but coming to the when you face this situation, the answer is different from facing those challenges in real time. So as I mentioned, yeah, the engineers were quite matured. The team I was working with, they were in that team working for more than 15 years. They are the main architect of that product. And they were quite good at developing or whatever work they were doing. The
Mhm.
only thing was mindset. Now the team was grown. A few new engineers were added so that they could support the development and understand the core architecture.
Mhm.
They were agile, but two of the senior architects, they weren't agile. Okay, they had already moved to Scrum, as I mentioned earlier. Now, when I had to lead that team, the challenges that I faced, were mostly from the senior team members, those working in waterfall for a long period of time. So they basically not attending meetings or skipping the meetings, or sometimes they used to take up stand-up calls, extend the calls up to 1 hour. So these were the things that were happening. I mean, it was not a structured discussion that was being followed. So this is what was happening in real time scenario when I just joined the team. So my first thing was to observe what is currently happening around the team, before enforcing any process, so that because I have to be comfortable here. They are the main key players of the product, development. So I need to understand the thing that they are following or what are the challenges, and then play my role accordingly or come up with suggestions or processes. So, or if at all you need to coach them. Okay, now, so as I mentioned, like, okay, I started observing, and these were few things which I observed. So one thing is, like, I tried a lot to make the meetings time boxed and structured, which was not happening. Okay, I didn't enforce, okay, we'll have these three questions. What did you do, yesterday? What are you doing today? Or any blockers? I mean, this is an old story now. So basically, I just encourage them to, in a way that what the new team members or developers or, people who joined 6 months ago, or, who are trying to ramp up the project. So under I would focus the call more from their perspective. Updates are there, everybody would give the updates, but I'll make sure that the other team members understand very well. So that was one of the key structural thing I had to place around, wherein their questions are addressed as well, if any. Be it any meeting now, stand up or refinement planning. So what was happening is they were having random discussion. I mean, PO had given, or the product backlog refinement, used to happen, and PO had a very good product backlog. So it was in a healthy state. But the thing is that there was no structured discussion around it. So the user stories were being burnt or solved, and not all team members were aware of what was happening. So I so that's the reason, one of the point which I put up. I tried to put the process in such a way that the new team members get involved, or they are involved in each and everything. I made sure that's happening. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, and changing the mindset. Now let me come to the mindset. Okay, what exactly? One more thing, which I think was a major, is coaching. Now I told them, like, okay, we'll follow waterfall just for their sake. Okay, we will not go with this, but in an agile way. You take up. We already have a product backlog. You consider that as the final requirement. Okay, assuming, just try to deliver the things according to the scrum model. Now, because we had a release every month, we had 2 week sprint. After every two sprints we had a release. So we were always lacking in the release because we had to sync up with other teams, and there was always a delay. And since this was a critical core team, so they had that liberty. But I made sure that if we could deliver it on time, because there was dependency uh, for other teams on us. So I made sure that at least that is addressed at the very first stage, because I found that that was not being addressed. So I spoke with the architects or the senior developers that if we could deliver it on time, especially during the release. I can understand, after one sprint, okay, we are lacking, but the next sprint, uh, when we, are about to release, so in that we are in sync with the other team. And also when it comes to structured discussion, as I was telling you, they were quite busy people. They had to discuss with multiple stakeholders as well when it comes to that team, architect team. So I couldn't tell them, okay, you have to attend stand up at this time. I had to adjust my meetings according to their schedule. So if they get a, urgent client call, so they had to skip. They had no option. They would keep daily Scrum on the least priority. But for me as a Scrum Master, that's most priority item. Those 4 events for me are mandatory events, or I have to make them happen. So what I came up with, a quick solution. So I understood usually when they have client calls. Okay, mostly, and when they do not have, so that was very important for me to understand, and accordingly I would set a fixed time. So majorly whenever they are having business meetings or client meetings, so on those days I would adjust my stand up. So we were working. Now one more thing which I missed to tell you, that we were working in 2 time zones. The core team was in US and we are based out of Ireland. Okay, so usually whenever we had a stand up, so our afternoon would be their morning. So we usually had a stand up of 2 p.m. Irish time, and which was morning for them. So accordingly, so sometimes our stand up also used to happen in the evening when the Irish people were about to leave within an hour. So for some day it is okay because the next day they come. So that is one of the adjustment that I had made to address the challenge, the main developers not being in the stand-up meeting.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay. Thanks, Anil, for that. Okay. Okay. So the next question is, how do you manage your Scrum teams?
Oh, so I actually don't manage the teams. So as a Scrum Master, my you know role is to lead the process actually. So it's more kind of process oriented. So management is actually project manager role, I can say. So Scrum Master, he is authoritative to the process. Okay, you should have people management skills. That is there. You should understand people. That is important. It's not that just because that comes managing people comes under project manager, that doesn't mean that you don't learn people skills or people manage. That is the most important thing as a Scrum Master, because you have to communicate with multiple stakeholders, and you can't be ignorant, or you can't be harsh at anyone. So you should have a very good rapport, because you never know when things you would need from other teams, or engineer, and you shouldn't be blocked because of that, or you should always be approachable. And for that, you should always have good people skills. So yeah, that would be or high, that would be my approach.
Okay, good. Because this is, I think, the tricky question, and most
Yeah,
of the time people fall for it.
yeah.
Okay, and this
Absolutely.
also, this also we have covered, I think, in one of our shorts. Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, so as a Scrum Master, uh, how you facilitate different Scrum events? I mean, if you want, you can just keep it short. So that's also okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so let us come to a page of Scrum events. So there are 4 Scrum events ideally. Okay, so that would be daily Scrum, sprint planning, sprint review, and retrospective. And additionally, we have other event that we plan, that is product backlog refinements. And within the sprint, you sometimes also have a 3 amigos session, but Scrum Master usually doesn't play a role, but Scrum Master can introduce that 3 amigos session to the team, how it would be beneficial. So yeah, maybe I can just give you a short idea of what exactly I would do as a Scrum Master in each of those events. So, before any of those events or before any of those meetings, I'll make sure that, the targeted stakeholders are invited for the meeting, who are required for that meeting. And I would also always prepare myself, before entering the meeting, with any meeting. I need to be prepared because few of the meetings, like retrospective, you play a major role as a Scrum Master. So you need to be prepared. Other meetings we usually facilitate, and also make sure that the meetings are productive, they are structured, and they are following the right path of discussion. So yeah, coming on to daily Scrum. So daily Scrum, I usually don't like to have any discussion style. As I mentioned earlier, like, earlier when I was an engineer, okay, we used to have that style. Okay, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And any blockers. Okay, even you might be remembering when you were, working as an engineer. So this used to be a standard pattern. But here I kept, or I always had the, discussion style to be chosen by the team, however they want to update. So my major role here would be carefully listening and observing the discussion. Okay, and if at all I have a doubt, I would, pitch in and ask question if needed. So basically, I would make some notes during, while people, if any points are to be noted, and which would be helpful for me. So basically, the points are related to identifying any impediments, if there are any, if any of the team members help, need external help, these kind of things, so that, I am aware, and parallelly I'm working on communicating to those stakeholders or arranging, meetings. So that would be majorly my role in daily Scrum meetings. Then moving on to sprint planning. So basically, there are multiple things that, for me. Okay, I'll start the, like, as I mentioned earlier, that before entering any meeting I prepare myself. Okay, so for sprint planning, you have to be prepared in a way that, see, as a Scrum Master you have to work on velocity and capacity planning. Okay, so that you have to do. I just want to speak more on sprint planning, Suman, with your permission,
Yeah,
because
please go.
yeah. So as I said, like velocity and capacity planning, I would do. Now velocity, we majorly, predict based on the previous sprints that we had. For example, let us say, I'll just take a hypothetical example. You have a Scrum team, and which has an average velocity of, let us say, 20 story point they have been delivering. Sometimes it is 25, sometimes it is 18. And just taking a hypothetical, so on an average they are delivering 20 to 25 story points with full capacity. So that is what. So here I know what would be the velocity. Okay, I already have one figure in mind. Now for me, I actually work on capacity initially. So even before the sprint planning meeting start, I would just send a message across, our group chat, for asking for leaves, if anybody is planning to take any leaves or unplanned leaves, and also understand if there are. So when you work in, multiple time zones, so you have bank holidays. Okay, the bank holidays in US are different from that of, Ireland. Even in Europe, multiple countries have multiple. So I need to make sure. So it sometimes happen that bank holiday for US and Ireland come together within the same sprint as well. It might happen. So based on that, I'll be having, or I'll be planning my velocity well in advance, even before the meeting. Also, now coming on to, usually in sprint planning, you would take up the, you know okay, one more thing which I just missed out. So which is related to, capacity, or so basically you have something called as reserving slack time for technical depths or bug fixes or innovation. So basically we follow something called as 15-10-5, rule, wherein you reserve 15%, for technical debts and 10 for bug fixes. So ideally, this is not a strict thing, but yeah, it's a good thing that at least I keep 20% of capacity wherein if any technical debts or bug fixes have to be done. So 20% I on an average keep it. A reserve slack time, in the capacity when I plan for the team. So this is one of the factors I consider. And yeah, then we move on to discussion. So yeah, when we start, I present this chart to the team. Okay, this is what is projected. Based on our existing capacity, this is what we'll be able to deliver, and based on that, we can plan for a sprint backlog. Whenever we discuss. So, and I also make sure that developers do not overcommit. As a Scrum Master, see, you also have to be a protector of your team for some time, so that they don't overcommit on things. Now there is a reserved slack time. We do this for a reason. Okay, you never know what. See, for some sprints it might not come up. It's good for developers, but what if it comes up? You never know. So I cannot be like, okay, last two sprint nothing came up. So this sprint, I should put that 20% into this and deliver more user stories. I myself would never prefer to do that because you never know what might come up. Okay, so I would always have that. So that's the reason. Overcommitting, I'll make sure developers do not overcommit during the planning. Yeah. So majorly, I would play that role of a Scrum Master during my plannings. Now, yeah, moving on to sprint reviews. So basically, again, as a Scrum Master, you have to be an active listener in most of the, or your job is to be an active listener. Okay. So yeah, I would again make notes, but here I would make notes, or be an active listener whenever there are demo happening. The feedback from the product and business stakeholders, they are very important. Okay, whenever the engineers demo, the Scrum team demos, whatever feedback they are getting, because these feedback should be implemented. Now, whenever they are giving the feedback, nobody would create a user story or a bug or any task, okay, or a technical spike at that point. Okay, so we will take the feedback. Okay, that will be discussed either in a refinement or whenever we get a chance. Okay, and then it would be implemented or the feedback would be implemented. So I'll make sure that whatever has been communicated, uh, so I keep a record of it. Then as a Scrum Master, once the demos are done, usually I would present different KPI charts. So basically the velocity chart or the, burn down charts, the bug coverage, sorry, the bug, so those parts I would present after my team has demoed. And one more thing is not during the review, but I usually coach my team. If they have any question for the product, that would be the right platform for them to ask. Okay, usually senior developers would pitch in here, not the new team members. But yeah, this do happens, and I think it's a good practice because that is the only point where you get a chance to interact with the product team. See, product owner, you are interacting. Okay, he is a part of product team, but there are multiple, you have product head or other big stakeholders who come there at the review meeting. So it's a golden chance. If you have any suggestion as a team, you can have, and yeah, they can accept, they listen to you and they can accept, or you might have questions on future product goals and how do you see this product, and do you want to suggest anything in their future plans or how things we can develop, because developers are developing that, even they might have something in their mind which they can speak up. So I would always encourage that to happen during the review. So I would communicate this well in advance so that if you have any questions you could ask, and I would also know that who is going to ask. So I'll make sure that I address that person when I finish presenting my charts. Okay, so whenever okay, so like I would take the permission from the product team that we had few questions from the engineer, then I would call up that engineer and he would ask those questions. So that is how I would, facilitate the review or keep myself, in the review.
Okay.
Yeah. And now talking lastly about sprint retrospective. Yeah, I think most of the Scrum Master love this because they not only facilitate, but they also, I would crack a joke, speak a lot. They have to speak a lot during that meeting. The reason being they have to encourage the team, to understand how we can improve. So there is always a scope to improve. That is for sure. Now, this is not the thing that, what didn't went well, or it's not nothing wrong in it. Yeah, it's just that, okay, how we can do it more effectively. Let us put this up. And there are different ways you can carry out retrospective. Okay. And there's no single way, but yeah. So I usually, so my role has been, while facilitating or leading this meeting is that basically you have a list of items, okay, that you had created from your previous retrospective. I would check what's the progress on that. Okay, if it has been addressed or it is still pending to be addressed, and I would just bring it at the start, and then you know I would start discussion with the current sprint, how it went, and yeah, there are diversified views and multiple perspective. So if it is getting too personal, I would just intervene. So sometimes it happens. So like my situation, it happened because we had two team merged together, the UI and backend. First, initially there were two separate Scrum team. Now for the product management, they decided that we should bring this together. It was for a reason. Okay, so we won't go much in details about that, but yeah, so there were challenges. Then they were like, okay, it was happening because of the other person, the backend team didn't, the we UI developer, we did, deliver. So these things, if I sense, even if I smell that the discussion is turning around to that, then I'll immediately pitch in there and I'll make sure that the decorum is maintained. And we are not discussing as an individual what went wrong, but as a team what we could improve. So instead of playing a blame game out there, I'll make sure you know I just diffuse the situation and you know streamline the discussion. So yeah, but I'll make sure that every team member gets an opportunity to speak.
Okay.
So yeah, so that would be my role. I'm
Okay.
sorry if the answer went too long or the discussion was too long on
Okay.
this.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Anil, but this is pretty elaborated. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Perfectly okay. No issues. Okay, so let's talk about stakeholder management. So, as a Scrum Master, first of all, who are your key stakeholders and how you engage with those stakeholders, how you interact
Okay.
with those stakeholders?
Okay. So yeah, for me, my- I think my Scrum team is also my key stakeholder, the developers. And apart from that, the PO, the product owner who's representing the product team, my project manager, the project lead, agile coach, if you have any. So some organization they do have. So uh, they are the ones who actually define the agile scrum process, or even if they have to upgrade to some scale agile. So yeah, so one of the key stakeholders which I got in my current company was the agile coach, and also the release manager. Now with the PO, I closely work with PO, basically. So on the product backlog. Okay, so to build a very healthy and product backlog, what I mean by healthy is so your stories are refined, okay, and also prioritized. So and you have this for at least next two sprints. Okay, you have the product backlog ready for next two to three sprints. So and yeah, both are servant leaders. Okay, so he's serving some other purpose and you're serving some other purpose, but you have a common goal. Okay, so and yeah, one of the reason always negotiation did happen with PO when it came to delivery, whenever they wanted, they were pushing on. So there was negotiation always. So that so like he wanted to introduce one more critical item in the sprint. So the sprint is already on, it was not discussed in planning. That's coming from customer. So that trade-off I made sure was always there. So I had a good rapport with my PO. I'll make sure if he's adding some big story, then I'll make sure the equivalent, story is pulled out. So yeah, that was my, daily communication. Apart from the developers, yeah. So Scrum
Okay.
ceremonies are there with the developers, but I also had one-to-one interaction. See, by books, though developers won't be your key stakeholders. Okay, but for me, they are, because that is where I'm leading the team, or they are actually doing the work. So as a Scrum Master, I consider them as well. So basically, I just for me, if okay, I'll tell you a trick. This comes into people management skill, that I need to build a rapport. Okay, so I can't, build a rapport while the entire team is there with individual. So I'll have to spend some time one-on-one with them. Okay, so that I understand their experience. This helps me a lot to understand their technical skills, and whom I can approach whenever a team faces any technical problems. So that's very helpful for me to understand. So from Scrum Master point of view, so that's the reason I had one-to-one. So whenever needed, we used to coach. I used to coach on the Scrum values, principle. How a Scrum model works and what is your responsibility as a developer. So that would be my approach. With the project manager, usually you discuss, the progress of the Scrum teams towards the sprint goal, and also how we are progressing towards the product goal. And let us say, basically we showcase the charts, whatever we discuss in sprint review. So project manager, usually he would have access, so he would be tracking. So if he has any questions, during like why it's not going as expected, if he sees some downtrend in the chart, it might raise a question to him. So that used to be a regular discussion. And apart from that, we also made sure that I discussed on the budgeting. Budgeting in terms of trainings, certifications, or any team building activities. So whether it be going, any outings or, so those kind of things. So I discussed those things as well.
Okay.
So yeah, and I think with the Agile coach, it was mostly understanding the Scrum practices, methods, or the tools they are introducing or using. So he would be one of the key players who implements the Scrum process throughout the organization. Okay, so we used to give our updates, so how things are going, so that was. And if they had something, so like these, as you might have heard or you might know more than me, like I recently came to know something called as SAFe, scaled agile framework. Okay, which they're planning for to go for essential Scrum. So this I wasn't aware, I'll be very honest on this part. So I started learning about it when they told me, okay, they are planning in future. So these kind of communication usually used to come from that. It never was a frequent communication with the agile coach. It was once a month or this kind of thing whenever they wanted to implement.
Okay.
So my major one more thing which I would like to highlight is release manager. So
Just
basically
hold on,
you
because we have a next question on release. So you
okay.
can include this over there. Okay. So this is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
So now let's move to the next question, and which is on release management. So what is your role as a Scrum Master in integration and release of a software product or delivery? So you can elaborate over here. Yeah.
Okay. So my role as a Scrum Master and release planning. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it this way. So yeah, this question I had got during JLR interview. I was honest on that. I wasn't sure what he meant by integration. What I thought as an integration, so you have a main business and you have multiple teams. Now those teams, they are working under one business and it's a complete solution. So their different products communicate with each other. So I was assuming that as an
No, I
integration.
think this is on CI/CD, simple. I mean,
Okay,
continuous
okay,
integration,
oh,
continuous delivery. This
okay,
is
okay.
what he meant to say.
Okay. So yeah, but I mostly spoke on release planning. So usually you have a release manager who usually carry or majorly plays a role during the release, is going on activities. So from release manager, you get the release dates. Okay. So dates for let us say half 6 months. So so as I said, we had 2 weeks sprint, and after every two sprint we had a release, so release dates were there. So this was the pattern. So from this you could always guess out what
After
would be
every
the
2 weeks, you guys are putting something on production. Are you sure? I mean,
after every two sprints.
oh, after
Oh,
every two sprints. Okay.
I'm sorry if I use the word weeks. So we had a sprint of 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and after every two sprints
Okay.
we had a release. So
Okay.
so our release was a monthly release cycle.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry, did I just say that? Okay,
No, that's okay.
maybe so yeah, so yeah, for me, the release date, or you had the release date for, let us say, 6 months or 1 year down the line. So based on, the release manager already had this plan, and we have this Confluence page, okay, now wherein what all release activities and what is the responsibility of my team. Okay, so usually during the release, we created a checklist on Confluence page, which was very standard. So my role as a Scrum Master, I'll make sure all those checklist whatever is given for a release to be successful for my team, and make sure those are going on. And I used to understand, okay, the entire structure, and then I'll communicate with my team. Now I'll tell you what that to-do list or structure is. Let us consider it as to-do list in layman's term for understanding. Okay, like all the functional testing has to be done, the regression testing has to be done, the performance testing has to be done. Okay, this is from the testing point of view. Then you have something called as security scans, okay, which you do. You go through that. So you have some other person assigned for it. Then again, yeah, one since you mentioned about pipeline, so yeah, we were using OpenShift. So under it, you had Kubernetes for container management and Dockers as a container. So yeah, again there the DevOps team played a major role. So for our team, so the every setup was done, and the DevOps team had already given the instruction, and there was an engineer who was taking care of those activities. So basically, these kind of activities were there for each and every team. Okay, so you had to do that. Okay, so now when uh, I used to get we used to have a release planning meeting. Okay, so majorly the Scrum Masters would be there in that meeting, and the release manager would be there.
Okay.
Okay, so he would give us an idea of how this release would be and what are the expectation. Okay, so and that would be put up in the Confluence page, and then I would communicate it to my team. Okay, that okay, this is what the dates are, and this is what we have to deliver, and who is then in that planning itself. I used to have a release planning meeting, a short meeting with my team. So who would be taking up what work? Okay, as I told you, there is regression testing to be done and blah blah. Many things they were there in the to-do list. So who would do? So that assignment, would be done.
Okay.
So yeah, yes, no.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. Okay. Let's move on to the next query. Okay. So, how do you guys assign work to the developer? So, do you
Oh
assign work to the developer as a Scrum Master?
no, or as a Scrum Master, you should never assign your dev, or you should always empower the Scrum team that they should assign themselves the work. You should never assign, empower as in you should coach them. You should give that confidence that you should take up. You should tell them that they are responsible for the sprint backlog, and they should take up the work.
So how they take the work? So for example, product owner is there, and then in your planning, product owner is telling you guys that okay, you have to take, let's say, 10 user stories. I'm just making an example. Now
Yeah,
you have a, let's say, 7 team members, right?
yeah.
So who will decide that okay, I will take this user story, or you know what is your role over there if they will pick? So you don't have to do anything over there.
Yeah, no, this is a good one. So, but yeah, this happens now. I'll tell you. Okay, I maybe I missed this point. Yeah, during planning, usually you also no assign, or I would, or we would make sure that in planning itself you would know on which user story which developer is working and who would be testing that. So you would also create subtasks for those user stories for development, unit testing, and functional testing. Okay, so you already know. Now assigning, yeah, as I said, we would encourage developers. Me as a Scrum Master, I'll make sure that based upon the bandwidth,
Bandwidth. So let's say all
bandwidth.
all are having a equal bandwidth. Now we have 10
Yeah,
user stories and 7 developers. I'm just making an example.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
perfect.
who is going to, let's say, then one of the user stories is pretty easy. Let's say two story points, two story
Yeah,
points, right? So three of the developers are they're just fighting. Okay, I will take this small one, and then there is one eight
yeah.
story point user story. No one is picking that eight story point user story. So
Okay.
what you are do?
Okay. So mostly again here I'll have to again coach the team to make them understand, okay, just because this user story is assigned to you, that doesn't mean you are solely responsible. Okay, first, yeah, you have to work on it. Somebody has to work on it. Okay, mostly, if it is a big user story, I can understand if a new team member is onboarded and he has just been there for a few months, and if he's not able to take up, I can understand that situation. In that case, yeah, but if there are multiple, senior engineers and there is a clash between that, I'll make sure that, I'll try to convince. Okay, here I'll tell you this has happened. So I can tell, okay, so a particular engineer has been taking up. Now this time you take up, okay, some other person, and if you need any support, I'll make sure that you get that particular
Okay,
support. So
now this guy is telling you in the planning
okay,
meeting that if you assign this user story to me, I'm not going to finish on time because this is something new for me. And the other guy who already worked on a similar story in the past, why we are not assigning this user story to him so that our user story will finish on time.
okay,
It's a
so
big
then
risk.
yeah,
If you assign this to me, I have no idea about this user story. I will start from scratch. But the other team member already worked, he know a lot of
hmm,
things about this user story.
hmm,
Then it's better to assign him, right, rather than assign to me.
yep, okay. So in this case, I would talk to him something about being cross-functional team, and being less dependent. I'll tell him, okay, if it is going to take time, that is okay. But I want to, make sure that we have more engineers in the team who can take up. We are not solely dependent upon him. What if today, for some unfortunate reason, that engineer is not available? It can happen. We all have witnessed what happened during Corona, or whenever there are any calamities or whatever happens. You never know what if that engineer is not available. So in that case, again, so there is an isolation. It is a complete dependency on one person. If he is not there, then the entire team is failing. Then this is a very big challenge. Then we are not a cross-functional team. Okay, I'll coach him. So our main, goal is to be cross-functional, self-sufficient. We have less dependency on others. These are the main qualities of a good Scrum team. So I'll tell him that you take up. No worries if it is getting a bit delay. Yes, now the other engineer is there in the team. Okay, he'll support you. Okay, he'll make you understand. So if you're going to start from scratch and all those things, at least he'll explain you so that you can start up from one level up or few level ups, so that you are not starting from ground zero. you will never start from ground zero. You are aware about the product. It's just that maybe you're not aware about the technology or so that a short session maybe we can have with that engineer. Okay, that particular engineer, he'll
Okay.
explain you, and we can take up that way.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Thanks, Anil, for that. Okay. So next one, though is a most asked question, but I want to ask you this question in a different way. Okay. So first,
Okay.
let me read out the question. So one of your team member, he or she doesn't want to participate in a Scrum events. Let's say daily Scrum, and that team member thought that daily Scrum is just a waste of time. The
Okay.
question is, how do you deal with this kind of team members? So that's the question. But over
Okay.
here, there is a small twist. I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to play that role of that guy. Okay,
Okay.
the guy with this having so much attitude. And now
Okay.
you are the Scrum Master. Let's do like 2 minutes role play.
Okay.
Okay,
So we'll
so
see
you are the
Sunan
Scrum
in a
Master.
different role now.
Yeah, and then I am that team member
Okay. All
who
right. Yeah,
don't
sure.
want to join that team. So now let's start. This is our conversation.
Okay. So, yeah. So, hi, Sunan.
Hi, Anil.
So I've been, lately saying that you're missing out on the daily scrum. So is there any other priority meetings that you are taking up, or, because the team, we were expecting other as a team that, you could be in the stand up, and for past few days it's been, no, you're not attending it. So
Hey,
could you,
Anil, I thought all these daily Scrum calls are just waste of my time. I don't find any value. There is nothing for me in those calls, right? So I don't want to waste my time and other people time. And if I have any issues and challenges, I just talk to people. And I already into this project from last 20 years now, right? It's almost 20 years. So I know the system in and out. There is not even a single problem which I don't know, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the reason I don't want to attend those calls. And whenever there is a issue with any other colleague, they always come out to me and I can help them, right? So I don't want to be part of daily Scrum calls. It's just waste of time.
Oh, yeah, Sunand, I do understand, your concern on that part. But Sunan, let me tell you, I mean, though you might not find, getting value out of it, but the team finds a lot of value with your presence. They are motivated as well during that. They feel, very
I don't care
confident while.
about team, honestly. I
Uh,
don't care
uh,
about team or anyone. I just, whatever work is assigned to me, I just finish that work and I just leave office on time. I came on time and I just finished my work. I help other team members. Whenever they have any issue, they always come to me. Did I say no to anyone
mm.
till now, Anil? Did any
No,
of the
no,
team members complain about me? Right? No, I guess,
no,
right?
yeah,
Client
no,
is
no,
happy. I'm
yeah,
happy. I
yeah.
don't know. There is why you are making such a big issue after it. It's just like 15
Uh,
minutes of, no, and yeah, I don't want to be part of those meetings.
and, sorry, Sunand, if you have felt offended, but I haven't came up with a complaint. It's just that since we are enforcing Agile Scrum in a company, and lately we have changed. I do agree that not everybody is comfortable with this change, but somewhere we have to follow this process, and it has its own benefits. So you might not find any value at this point. Okay, so maybe I would suggest to give some more time. Okay, see, others are finding a lot of values, and you discussing with team members, they are coming to you one on one. So what is happening that there are not one team member who has been onboarded. Recently, there are the three members who have been onboarded. What happens is they have individual that they come individually to you. Now, if you solve the doubts during the meetings itself, or you answer to the queries, so everybody is updated with the knowledge, or the other team members as well. They get to know what's happening. So you won't
See,
get that
Anil,
repetitive question.
Anil, daily Scrum call is not to solve the queries and all. Okay, I hope you are as a Scrum Master aware about that. And the second
Yeah,
point is this Scrum thing just started 2 years back when you joined this organization. Before that,
yeah,
18 years I worked in this company in this project, right? There is
yeah.
no
Completely
problem at all.
agree.
right? Just because
Yeah.
you want to enforce something, you are just making it mandatory, which I don't want to, right? So
No, that's not that way, Sunan. Sorry if you're taking it wrong, but yeah, we are
no,
just,
I'm not taking it wrong. I'm just telling you directly, nothing else.
so I do understand. See, one of the thing which I observed is like, you have client meetings. I do understand you have meetings with the key business stakeholders or the top management. I do understand. See, if this is coming your way, I can adjust, our daily scrum. But I really want you to be a part of it. See, if you don't
I was
want to
already
be,
there for your last 3 sprints, and I don't think that there is any value add which I am doing, though you are telling, but I mean that people are just coming, they are just discussing few stuff, and that's it.
yeah,
I don't want to mention anything to anyone that what I am doing. If you want anything, I am already updating your Jira board, which you are again enforcing everyone to that
yeah.
Jira board. Again, I am doing that. And on top of it, you want also to come and be part of 15 minutes. Either I will come or I will not update your Jira board. You decide.
See, yeah, I know Jira board with that you would get the update, but I'm not expecting you to be an active participant. It's just that your presence. I'm trying to bring the value to your presence
My
being
15,
there.
if I'll be there for 15-30 minutes, how is it different? You are now
Okay,
telling me just present over there,
yeah.
right? My presence. Why I'm is this like some school that I have to just go and put my hand that okay, I'm present today?
Yeah, no, I do understand that. No, as I said, it is bringing more value to the team. I'm thinking from the team perspective. Here,
Did any team member came to you and mention about this?
no, it is,
Then
what,
this is your assumption only. No one is
yeah,
complaining except you.
yeah. So see, this is not a complaint kind of thing. See, this is where, I'm not trying to enforce, just trying to put around or,
You just mentioned that you are enforcing the process. You just mentioned
see, there
in the
is a
beginning.
process. See,
You
there
just
is a
mentioned we
process.
have to enforce, right? How
Yeah.
can you enforce something?
See, I'm just what you say, a kind of servant leader who is following that. The process, enforcement comes from the top management that we have to follow
I
Scrum.
will go and talk
Yeah.
to my manager on that. You want, you can go and complain about me. I don't care
Uh,
about
the, Sunam, this is not about complaining or talking to the
you
management.
just mentioned, right? About it's coming from top management, then it's okay. You can
Yeah,
go and talk to top management that I'm not going to the part of your daily scrum calls. I have other
no,
hundred of other important things to work on
yeah,
rather than just to
no.
be there, present there, doing nothing over there. It's just waste of your time and my time.
I mean,
Okay, I
I do
think we are
understand.
done for today. I have another meeting. Let me go over there. If you have anything, we can again catch up. No problem. Yeah, you still
Surely,
have.
Sunam, we'll surely talk on this,
I don't think there
later.
is anything else for me to talk on this. Honestly, if you have any other agenda, please do mention, and then we'll only talk. With this, I don't think we need any other meeting. I'm done.
Uh, okay, Sunan, but still, I would request you to give a thought. I mean, please take some time, move a step back, and just try to give a thought about it from the points which I mentioned. Like the team is finding lot of value with your presence. I'll just and as I said, I'll be flexible or open enough to adjust. I know we had fixed our daily scrum meeting on a single time, like 2 p.m. Irish time, which is 9 a.m. your time. So if you are not uh, good with those time, I can move the meeting to some other time as well. But I would seriously request you to give a thought about it, and we can talk later if you wish on this.
Okay, I will think on it. Yeah, thanks,
Yes,
Anil.
sure.
Bye.
Yeah,
Have a nice day.
thank you, Sunan. Yeah.
Okay, good. I think you do fairly well. Maybe, guys, I'll make a separate video like this some other time, and we'll see like what other things which we could have done better. Yeah, Anil? Okay,
Yeah,
so let's
thank
let's
you.
finish. Yeah, couple of more questions and then we wind up. I think I'm just taking your more time.
No,
Sorry,
no,
guys,
no.
whoever are the viewers, we have not planned this. I just made up, and I think
Yeah, and this was new for me as well.
good,
So
good.
yeah, but
Okay,
it was a good one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's finish this session.
Yeah.
So I have, yeah, one or more, two more questions. Okay. So, yeah, again, the next question is, your team is constantly failing to meet your sprint goal, and their velocity is again a volatile. So, what you are going to do about it? How do you address this situation, Anil?
Okay. So basically, I would just understand the reason behind why it's not believed. There could be multiple reasons, why there are spillover, or we are not able to achieve the sprint goal, and few sprint we are able to deliver good stories, and somewhere we are lacking. So I'll first try to drill down technically, like for each sprint that we are not able to deliver, or we are able to I'll just analyze those, try to understand this. I'll be discussing now. Once I come up with my hypothesis, I'll discuss with some of the team members to understand those areas, or really digging into those particular things, and understand if we could work around, if there are some technical. Let us take an example of this CI/CD pipeline. Okay, DevOps. So not everyone would be able to successfully implement the CI/CD pipeline. There are challenges. I mean, a good CI/CD pipeline, wherein wherever you commit, and so there are many challenges that are happening, due to which it was delaying. Many things were getting delayed. So I would basically, so from that perspective, so now I know what the problem is. Something from the container management side, we are having issues there. There is dependency only on one developer, for pushing the code. So what's needed exactly? So these are kind of few examples that I just try to put up here, to make you understand about the situation. Like if there are technical, okay, I would take up this route, I would try to solve it in that way. So if with that pipeline, then I would route through DevOps first. I would discuss with team. Then we would have much more mature or grid problem. We would come to know exactly key area where we need to fix, so that we don't repeat this in a future sprint. And once it is, then we would go to DevOps team and get it solved from them. Also, I would make sure that we create a Confluence page. Now, this is very important. Like, you face some situation due to which you're not able to deliver the velocity, or you're going down. I'll make sure that this problem, so that I would have a dump of team dump of Confluence pages, where if any such situation comes, we could handle it. There might be some other reasons as well, like some engineers not communicate. This happened with me, in my present company. So a few months back, when a new engineer was onboarded, okay, so when he was assigned a story, I mean, initial few printed it work, but since he was new, so he was committing, and he was not open to speak up. Okay, where he's stuck, if he's not stuck, and that was actually delaying, you know. And we were expecting, based on his performance, that at least, let us say, initially you were able to deliver five. I'm just taking a hypothetical example, 5 story point per sprint. Okay, and that was when you joined new, but now we are expecting that you deliver 10 based on your but now he has committed to that, and not able to deliver, and the reason he didn't speak up. So now we know. So we'll try to coach him or make him understand that if he's stuck, then he could directly communicate with team, or he could come down to me and I would help him out. So that way, these are few things I would do around to drill down to. I just gave you few examples. So basically, if I have to, my approach as a Scrum Master would be to understand the key problem area, and to design a solution around it. And I would design a solution within the team first. That would be my first approach. And if we are not able to find that expertise, or if we are not within the team, then we would move on to some external help. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So, Anil, I think We are done for today's Q&A session. It's already like
Okay.
I think close to 1 hour. So I think
Yeah.
it's best
Oh,
we can close this session. So yeah. So friends, thank you for joining us today's session, and we hope you found it helpful and informative. And if you enjoyed
sure.
this session, please don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you in our next session. So bye,
Yeah,
guys.
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Anil.
so yeah, thank you, Sunan, for giving me the opportunity. And to all the viewers, yeah, please do like and subscribe. I am a subscriber since past few months, as I told you.
Okay.
And I have also, hit that bell icon. If you, Sunan, post anything, I get a notification. I also keep looking to short videos which he keeps posting. Those are really useful, so yeah, I would say, and create your own playlist from Sunan's YouTube channel, based on whatever you're targeting. I'll just give you a suggestion that I've just created a playlist based on his interviews. I have a separate playlist. If he's giving some, information on any topics, let us say there were, I think, 3 different videos on Sunan channels which are related to KPIs. So I have a separate playlist which is, related to Scrum Master information wherein you are delivering topics like. But yeah, you could effectively use Sunan channel. So that is my message to the viewers. And if you have any feedback, please put it on the comments. And yeah, we would surely take it up.
And we'll have more sessions in future.
Yeah, surely I would love to have those sessions.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Anil. I think let's close this session now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.